What if the pyramids are older than history itself? What if they were already ancient, already standing, before the Egypt you learned about in school had even begun? Hidden in the stone is a question that refuses to die, and it changes everything we think we know about who came first. Stand at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza and look up. Something stops making sense. This thing is built from more than 2 million blocks of stone. Some weigh as much as a small truck. Human hands dragged them, lifted them, set them in place, with a precision modern builders still find unnerving. The standard story says people did this 4,500 years ago. Copper tools, rope, raw muscle. That story might be right. But one question refuses to go away. It is the question this whole video is about. What if the pyramids are older than we think? What if they were standing before the Egypt we learned about in school ever existed? Hold that thought. The deeper you go, the stranger it gets. By the end of this, you will not look at that pile of stone the same way again. Let me be honest from the start. This is a mystery, not a fairy tale. I will give you the real facts as facts. I will give you the doubts as doubts. You decide where the line sits. Here is what mainstream archaeology says, and it is well supported. The Great Pyramid was built under the pharaoh Khufu in the 4th dynasty, roughly 2,500 years before Christ. That makes it about 4,500 years old. Egyptologists point to the workers' villages found near the site, to the tombs of the laborers, to the tools, to the long line of earlier, rougher pyramids that show the technique being figured out step by step. This is not a wild guess. It is decades of careful digging. So when someone tells you the pyramids are a total unsolved riddle, that is not quite true. We know a lot. But knowing a lot is not the same as knowing everything. This is where the doubt creeps in. Look closely at the stone. Some of the joints between these massive blocks are so tight, you cannot slide a sheet of paper between them. The base is almost perfectly level across a footprint the size of several football fields. The whole structure lines up with the points of the compass with an accuracy that is hard to explain with rope and sight lines alone. Careful builders can do remarkable things. But look at that precision, and a simple question appears. Why does this early monument look more exact than things built centuries later? Why does the craft seem to peak right at the start, instead of slowly improving? That question alone proves nothing, but it opens a door, and behind that door is something that genuinely rattled archaeology. Keep that precision in mind. I am about to show you a place that changed the timeline. But first, the piece alternative researchers love the most. Walk over to the Sphinx, that great stone lion with a human face sitting just below the pyramids. Look at its body, not its face. Some geologists point to the deep, rounded, vertical grooves running down the sides of the enclosure it sits in. That weathering, a handful of researchers argue, looks less like wind and blowing sand, and more like the wear left by long, heavy rainfall. Here is why that matters. The Sahara was not always a desert. Thousands of years earlier, that region was far greener and far wetter. So the argument goes like this. If heavy rain weathered the Sphinx, and the rain stopped long before Khufu was born, then the Sphinx, or at least the rock around it, might be far older than the standard date. I have to be fair here, because honesty is the whole point. Most geologists and Egyptologists do not accept this. They have their own explanations for that weathering. Different kinds of stone, different ways water and salt eat into rock over time. There is no settled proof that the Sphinx is thousands of years older than we think. This is a disputed idea, argued at the edges of the field, not a confirmed discovery. But it is a real argument, made by real people with real credentials, and it will not fully die. That is what makes it interesting. So we have precision that surprises people, and weathering that some read as far too old. On their own, easy to wave away. But then the ground opened up in Turkey, and the whole conversation changed. Here is the part that stops people cold. In the hills of southern Turkey, there is a site called Göbekli Tepe. This one is not a fringe theory. It is mainstream, excavated, dated, published. Göbekli Tepe is a set of huge stone pillars, some taller than a person, carved with animals, arranged in rings. The dating puts it at roughly 11,500 years old. Let that number sit for a second. That is not a little older than the pyramids. That is thousands of years older. It is older than writing, older than the wheel. It may even be older than farming as we usually understand it. For a long time, the assumption was simple. First, people settle down and farm. Then they build cities. Then, much later, they build monuments. Göbekli Tepe flipped that order on its head. Here were people who, by the old model, should not have been able to organize anything on this scale. And yet, they quarried stone, carved it, and raised it into place, long before the first Egyptian pharaoh drew breath. Be careful with what that does and does not prove. Göbekli Tepe does not mean the pyramids are older than we think. It is a different place, a different people, a different technique, thousands of miles and thousands of years away. Nobody serious says the same hands built both. But here is what it genuinely does. It proves human beings could build massive, organized, skilled stonework far, far earlier than we believed. It tears up the idea that deep past humans were simple and incapable. And once you accept that, the question at the heart of this video stops sounding crazy and starts sounding fair. If we were that wrong about when humans started building big, could we be wrong about other things too? That is the real weight of it, not a secret answer, a crack in our confidence. So who could have built the pyramids, if not the Egyptians we know? Here you have to keep both feet on the ground. This is exactly where an honest mystery turns into wild invention if you let it. You will hear people fill that gap with lost super civilizations, with vanished continents, with visitors from the sky. And I have to be straight with you. There is no physical evidence for any of that. No lost city under the sand with the blueprints inside. No tools that human hands could not have made. No inscription that spells out a secret older builder. When someone hands you a confident answer to this question, that is usually the moment to hold on to your wallet. Because the truth is, we do not have one. What we actually have is more modest, and honestly, more interesting. A monument of staggering precision, a piece of weathering that a minority of experts read as far too old, and hard proof, in the hills of Turkey, that our timeline for what ancient people could do was badly underestimated at least once. Put those three together, and you do not get a proven secret history. You get a fair, open question. A real one. So here is where I land, and I will be honest rather than dramatic. The mainstream date for the pyramids is well supported. I am not going to pretend it is fake. But certainty is a strong word for a world that keeps surprising us. Göbekli Tepe should make all of us a little more humble about what we think we know about the distant past. Maybe the pyramids are exactly as old as the textbooks say. Or maybe, buried under all that sand, there is a chapter we have not read yet. I do not know for sure. And anyone who tells you they do know for certain is telling you a story. The most honest thing I can say is this: the question is still open. And an open question, standing 4,500 years tall in the desert, is a beautiful thing to be left with.